Welcome to Wing Academy Video, an extension of Wing Academy of Unfoldment. I'm your host, Diane Wing, and my show focuses on how to use spiritual concepts in the real world. We will address issues related to the mind, body, and spirit, discover how to release what holds us back, and ways to come into our power. Learn more at dianewing.com. Today, my very special guest is my friend Jim McCarty, a founding and current member of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, the Yardbirds, a founding member of the bands Renaissance, Together, and Box of Frogs, and an internationally respected songwriter. His third solo album, Walking in the Wildland, is now available on Angel Air Records. He's also the author of 2 books, Nobody Told Me and She Walks in Beauty. Find out more at jamesmccarty.com. Welcome, Jim.
Hello. Actually, the Angel Air it's moved now. It's on a. Actually, you'd like the name of the record label. It's on Demon now.
Oh, okay. It's on Demon?
Demon.
From angels to demons?
Angel to Demon.
So here's the website, folks, and check it out, and you can find out when they're coming. And I was at the last show. It was awesome. It was very different than other shows that I got to see. I mean, you guys are always so tight, and you rock the house, no question. But this time, I loved the stories that you were telling to give people the background to the music, and then to play the music. It just enriched the whole experience.
Yeah, great. Yeah, very nice. Yes, I can imagine it was quite good to watch.
Yes, and you were so relaxed.
Well, I
Uh,
got more. I was, that was you. You saw the first show. And I was thinking, oh my God, it's the first show. But it was such a nice vibe, wasn't it?
yes, it really was.
It was sold out, and it's a nice venue and a nice crowd. So it was easy to do it, and I enjoyed it. But it did get better because we did some lovely venue. We did 12 of them all together.
Wow, wow.
We
Over
did
how long? How long were you?
quite a short 12 in, I don't know, less than 3 weeks.
Wow,
So
wow.
it was quite full on.
Yeah.
We
Well, I
went,
have to tell you, the audience was had such good energy. Like, you attract the nicest fans.
yes, I know. Woodstock. We did the show in Woodstock, in the museum there. It was fantastic. Beautiful place.
Wow. That must have been very cool.
Yeah, that was one of the best ones. But and the last one in Chicago was great. That was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chicago's always, I love Chicago. But I mean, to do it in so back to back like that.
Yes. Well, it's all economics, you see. You got a lot of people all living on the road, so you want to do it quite quickly.
Right, right. Well, mentioning being on the road, your book,
Yes,
Nobody Told Me. I mean, I had no idea. I always wanted to know. I was always curious about being on the road and what it was like. And that's one of the things that you do shed some light on in this
yes,
book.
yes, yes. It
Um,
wasn't. It wasn't always that pleasant, actually. To be honest, it could be quite hard, uh, especially when you feel it's like running away with you and you've got no control. That's the thing.
oh,
But of course,
right.
Now it's all different. I mean, we got, that you met Keith, didn't you, the manager? And he's a great guy, and he runs it all very nicely. And it,
You have to trust your people, don't you? I
yeah,
mean,
and I like it. The manager coming with you and doing the merchandise and all that stuff. And he was even driving me, so he was really hands on.
yeah, no, it really was. So the other book, here's the one, and this one is very different than
Yes,
She Walks in Beauty. And the first book is a chronicle of your life, and it provides major insights into the business of music, as well as the personal influences that shape the creative process. Like, if you're a musician out there listening to this, I highly recommend this book because it really gives you an inside view of what it's like to be a musician, the ups and downs, and the success and disappointment. I mean, it's such a roller coaster.
really is. It really was. Yeah, yeah.
And how the musicians interact, and then if there's a lineup change, how that affects everything.
It's all in there. But it
It's
was like,
awesome.
and it was
It's
like a whole life, a whole life in 5 years.
well, and then this, um, you've always been a spiritual person, but this is the more of the spiritual aspect of your life and dedicated to your
Yeah,
late wife, Lizzie.
yeah. So that that was such a big thing suddenly to be so close with her, and suddenly she passes away. And that was something I never quite experienced anything like that before. Even though I lost my parents, my mother and father, it wasn't the same as that at all. It was
No.
it was a very deep experience, and it set me on really on a deep path to try and find out, what had happened to her, or could she be contacted? Can I speak to her? And it was quite a revelation in the end to find out I could. And it was a really big thing in my life. All of a sudden, I could communicate with Lizzie, who was actually, you know, on the other side, as they say.
Right. Well, when she was in the physical realm, she was your anchor for when you came home from touring.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
And in the afterlife, I mean, you went to special training for this, is that right?
I decided I was so interested. I was so propelled to do it. Um, I really had to find out, and so I got into near-death experiences and all that stuff, and discovered what happened to um, lots of people when they crossed over and came back. And then I found out about this Suzanne Giesman, who's a very good medium, and I had a friend in Florida that recommended her, and so I ended up taking courses on it. So I became sort of a semi-medium myself. But that wasn't the motivation for me doing it. I wanted to be close to Lizzie, and
Of
it
course.
worked.
Yeah. I mean, it does. Grief is, a very personal experience, but I think that when we're in touch with our loved ones, um, in that transition, it's easier, if we can use that word. It's more
Yeah,
comforting
yeah,
than
yeah,
if we feel completely separated.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I really, I really believe that now. I studied Buddhist studies and all that stuff before about reincarnation and dying and all this stuff, but it never hit me so hard as this. And now I'm so convinced that the consciousness carries on. Um, and it's rather beautiful, to follow that truth.
Yes, we don't just fizzle out, right? We
Yes,
we continue.
yeah,
We're with the people that we loved until they're ready.
yeah,
I think it's
exactly.
until they're ready to let them go, right?
And, and there's no horrible sort of burning in hell and sin for sinners, and that's all made up. That's fictitious.
I agree with that. That I don't believe in that either. Um, I think we go back into the source energy.
Yeah,
And then
but
if you believe in reincarnation, we get ready for the next
yeah, yeah,
iteration.
yeah. I think we have to be aware of how we've lived and what we've done. Maybe what we've done to people or whatever. But nothing is there's nothing too horrifying about it.
No, no, it isn't.
I do.
Um,
I don't know what it's like. Obviously don't know what it's like to suddenly, oh, I'm dead.
right. But to separate from the physical, I mean, if we believe in reincarnation, we do it repeatedly.
Yes,
We just forget what it's
yes.
like.
We know. I've got the feeling that you die, and then all of a sudden you say, "Oh, yes, I remember this. I know what this is like. I've done this many times." It's like, oh, I've
Yeah.
got
Do
all
you
this.
believe in soul families? Like, do you believe that we come back with the people that,
Yes. Oh, yes. There's some people I'm very friendly with. I see them. I'm very friendly with. I see them quite regularly, and they live in England. I know that they're part of the soul family. I know I'll see them again, and probably I'll see you.
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I'll meet you in the forest somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. You know, while you say forest, I just want to show people this. I love this album, Walking in the
Yeah.
Wildland. This is such, if you want to feel peaceful, if you really want to get centered and be inspired, this is such a great album.
Yeah.
Um, I just, yeah, it's so like it's that peace you feel like on a rainy day when you're just like it's like
Yeah.
cozy and uh, Mountain Song is one of my favorites on the album, but it's so spiritual and you can feel your connection to nature
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your inspiration?
Yeah. It was really all about. I have to say, it was all about my relationship with my wife. Of course, she was very into it and very into our life, and our life was a lot about being in nature and walking in the wild land. And there's some wonderful places near where I live. I'm very lucky. And I went to this place the other day. It's about a 20-minute drive where the photo is taken.
Oh,
It hasn't, I mean, it's exactly as it is, exactly as it is there. Nothing changes there. It's a real, one of those places you always feel good to go there. It always does your energy good. It's something I don't quite understand, but I'm beginning to understand that there's places you go to that really inspire you and heal you. And that's one of them.
Yeah. So with your mediumship training, did you find that you can also connect to like nature spirits and like the energy of places differently than you might have before the training?
Yeah, I mean it's one of those ongoing things. It's a vast subject, and I'm sure it's still happening, and I'm still learning things like that. I, I did a few sessions, to friends as a medium, and it was quite good. Um, they call them, what do they call them? Can you get some gold nuggets? Like if I said your mother had an emerald ring or something, and that was correct, that would be a gold nugget, you know.
Okay, okay.
Evidence, because the whole thing about it is what Suzanne talks about is evidence, and there has to be some evidence brought up in a session that proves that you're actually contacting them. It's
Right.
all,
And it's not a generalized
no, no, no,
piece
no.
of information. Right. It validates what you're
Yeah,
getting. And it also, when you get validated, I think that you trust yourself
yeah,
more. The more, you confirm what you're getting in the person. Because like a lot of times when I'm doing a reading, I'll say something and I don't know what it means, but it's not my message. It's for the person that I'm
yeah,
reading. So
yeah.
it's hard to separate yourself and not analyze it. You just have to say it, right?
But there's very specific things. I mean, I suppose jewelry is quite specific, isn't it? And
Yes.
I've done a couple of practice readings and I picked up various, some woman whose husband had passed over, and he was into native Indian jewelry. So I picked that up.
Wow,
Uh,
that's
like,
out there. Like that's not something it would just be
no, no, like turquoise.
apparent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that sort of, whereas at Santa Fe and that sort of Sedona, that Western influence, which I like myself. It's really lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, Sedona has a different kind of energy than a lot of other places. Um, there's a lot of energy swirling around there, and you kind of have to be careful when you open to it.
I don't know. I don't think I ever went there. I've been to Santa Fe, but not Sedona. I've been there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's very different there. I went into this one store, it felt like I was walking through a portal.
Yes, really amazing.
But I don't think it's meant to live there. I think it's there you do your thing and then you leave because the energy is too intense to live around it.
You frozen for a minute. Oh, there you are. You froze for a second.
Okay, so I was saying that it's not it's too intense to live in a high energy place.
I
You
imagine.
you you go and then you leave. You
Yeah,
do your thing and you leave.
I imagine. And I guess the people that live there, they're used to it, are they? Or they're oblivious to it.
Well, a friend of mine used to run psychic fairs out there, and she said the psychics that lived there didn't last long.
Oh,
It was very taxing on them.
too strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So they couldn't stay there.
Yes.
But what about the like did you pick up on I know there's a lot of glare here. Um, did you pick up on any spirits here in these ruins or
Um. I, no, I think it was mainly nature spirits. The energy, the nature. I don't think any of the I don't think I picked up on any of the people that were human. that thing there. Um,
Okay.
but it's funny because I remember Lizzie and I used to do house swapping, and we used to house swap with the people in Toronto because I recorded that album in Toronto in Canada,
Oh,
mainly, and we had a couple here once who were quite tuned in, and they used to walk around this village, and they picked up on all the fact that it was occupied by the Germans in the wartime, and they said, "Oh, we know we could feel the occupation, and we could feel what was going on and all that stuff." They really picked it up.
wow. Wow. Ew.
Yeah.
That's a hard energy to be picking up on.
Well, yeah, and I live in a house, and two front doors, and I remember I had a neighbour, and he said, "Oh yes, that it was always handy to have another front door where you could escape quickly."
Wow. Wow. That's not something you deal with every day.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm not aware. I'm not aware of anything. I'm not aware of any heaviness really. It's just
Okay.
quite light.
So, like when you were writing, I'm gonna share another image here on Amazon. When you were writing Nobody Told Me, there's a lot of information about your childhood in England after it was bombed and like very heavy um energy and politics and war going on at that time. Did
Yes.
were you like as a kid, did you know that you had this ability that you wanted to develop, or did it just come later?
No, I knew. Well, I by the time I was, yeah, by the time I was about two or three, that the war had finished. So I wasn't aware of any. Maybe as a baby, I was aware of bombing and things, and I didn't. It wasn't in my consciousness. My wasn't in that part of my mind. But I was always aware because my childhood wasn't very happy. My parents weren't very happy together, really. But I was always aware I could escape in my mind. I was aware of something was helping me, which I didn't know what it was.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah, I could sort of I could meditate. That's what I could do. I was aware I could meditate as a young child, which was interesting because I never thought, oh, where does that come from or anything.
Right. Right. Um, you know, your mystical side comes through, I think, in all your music.
Yes,
Um, this Rain Dreaming is so beautiful.
yeah, that's
And God, and as an instrumental, um, it's described here as meditative instrumental music. And it really is. Like it's
yes, yes. It's nice. It's very when every time I listen, I always think, oh, this is nice. It's all sort of dreamy and relaxing and very positive.
yes. And that's what happened to me when at the last show where John Iden played Happenings 10 years after the original version, it was completely mystical, and I was like, ah, and I'm feeling this. And then he stopped, and then he
I know
stopped playing.
it
Like,
was very evocative, wasn't it?
it,
Yeah, you're probably right. It would be nice to do a version like that.
I
Um,
would love that. And
yeah,
John already knows that he can already play it.
quite nice to do that. It'd be interesting, yeah, as the original. It'd be lovely if I had if I had the demo, there must have been a recording that we did, Keith and I, when we did the song. Uh,
The first version of it, you
first,
mean?
wish I had it because I don't have it anywhere. It's a shame because I never really collected those sort of things.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
they there must be some tape to tape recording somewhere on a tape because it was recorded like on a tape machine. But
Okay.
we never did it in the studio like that.
Okay, but you could do it in the studio, right?
We could, yeah, it'd be nice.
I mean, I'm a fan. You're my friend, but I'm a fan too, because really, anybody with a spiritual side is going to connect with your work.
Yeah,
And the beautiful part is how there's such a large body of your work to discover
yeah.
that people don't maybe even realize.
No, I know. No,
Like,
it was funny because I remember when that came out, that Walking in the Wildland, and somebody I knew who was a critic, he was a writer for some magazine, and he said, "Oh yes, I love that album." He said, but you know, anyone that hears it would love it, but who's going to hear it? You know, that's the problem.
that is the problem, getting it out there. Because I
Yeah,
know there are videos of certain songs on there on YouTube.
yes,
I think Charmed, right, is on YouTube.
Charmed is on YouTube. Yeah,
Um, but to listen to it start to finish,
yes,
it just kind of you kind of flow with it.
yeah.
And
That's well, that's the beauty of it, you know, of the album, which is like slightly out of date now, isn't it? Because people always put tracks together, you know, from different albums. But the idea of the album was it had a whole sort of story and a whole energy to it. But that doesn't really happen so much, is it?
no, not anymore. And you're right. Like when I was in my highest album collecting mode, we
Yeah.
would sit there and we would get the album and we would play it and we would read the cover and we would listen to it start to finish and we wouldn't talk. We would just absorb it.
Oh, it's great, wasn't it? Exactly.
It was an experience. It wasn't like, oh, is there a single on here?
No, I know exactly. You just sit there and chill out for 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. So, folks, I really recommend that you try that with this album because
Oh,
if
good.
if you if you feel stressed, you won't be anymore at the end of that album. And if you listen to the words, you're gonna it almost it assists you in connecting to source.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I've had some very fantastic reactions on it. You know, there's some fan that lives in England, and Walking in the Wildland is his favorite ever track.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, yeah, his favorite track ever.
Well, and Renaissance, when you wrote the first album for Renaissance, and founded it, that was that mystical feel too.
Yeah, that was similar, wasn't it? Yeah, it had that same energy. But Keith, of course, Keith Ralph, the singer who died in '76, he was very mystical as well. So that's where we clicked.
So again, the change in personnel changed the music.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, there's a lot about me and Keith in that She Walks in Beauty. I talk about him in there.
Yes, many conversations with being on the road and going in depth. That must have been
Yeah,
fascinating. I would have loved to be in the room for that.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Yeah,
Well,
lots
and
of
questioning, right?
yeah,
Questioning.
questioning, the universe or whatever. But of course, that carries on. That's still there.
Yes, yes.
I mean,
So,
can I just say one thing? I saw a medium one time because I've seen a few mediums, and they said, "Oh, do you have a brother in spirit?" I said, "No, I don't have any brothers. I never had any brothers or sisters." And she said, "Oh, it's a guy with long blonde hair." And she said, "Oh, and he has his arm around your wife. He's cuddling your wife."
oh,
It's really sweet.
that is how wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that lovely?
Wow. And did she know him?
No, no, no.
She didn't, right? Because yeah, that time frame was off, but they found each other
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She didn't know
because of
him.
you. Yeah. I love that. And let me just make a quick correction. That song is called Happenings 10 Years Time Ago.
Yeah,
Sorry.
correct. Yeah.
Happenings 10 Years Time Ago. Um, and I'm going to be hoping for the
Another.
the old new version.
I, I could tell. I could do it.
So, um, so much great work, so many things for people to explore, so many ways to feel peaceful in a world that's so chaotic right now. What is next for you? When are you going to tour? What albums are you working on or other book projects?
Well, there's always something going on. We're carrying on with that show, and the big thing will be that when I first saw anything like that show, it was Peter Asher, and he was doing it. He was doing a similar show on the Flower Power cruise in the theatre on that boat. And so we're actually doing that again next year. So we'll be doing that show in the theatre, which would be
Oh,
great.
great.
So that'd be
Okay.
that'd be really nice.
Folks, if you want to be on that Flower Power cruise, you better buy tickets like right away
Yeah,
because it sells out so fast.
yes. So that's around March or April,
Okay.
and there's been a lot of talk with Keith the manager, Keith Putney the manager, about coming back in October, November to the US. Yeah, but we'll see.
Okay, you know my preferences of theaters. So
Yes,
please put in my request.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I know what the best one is.
Because not only do I love watching you guys play, but that's when I get to see you. So, because you're so far away.
We're
But
playing in a couple of weeks. We're playing a festival in Switzerland, just
wow,
like a blues festival, but we won't do the talking. We just play.
that sounds awesome.
And in August, I'll be doing the Beatle Fest in Chicago, which is right sort of outside. It's in the Hyatt. I think it's a Hyatt at the airport, Chicago O'Hare Airport. So I
Great.
did a Beatle Fest on that last tour in New Jersey, and they obviously liked me, so they booked me again for Chicago.
Awesome. So, is all this stuff going to be on your website?
Yeah, it'll be there. Yeah.
Because it says upcoming tour dates. Let me see here. Um, so yeah, go to Jim's website to find out specific stuff about what's going on. You can find the albums on there that we talked about.
Yes.
Uh,
I've probably got to do some updates actually. I'm glad you told me.
yes. Because yeah, this has to be updated, so I can't wait to see that. I know you're waiting for some information, so
Yeah.
but this is the best place to go, right?
For
To get
me,
information and also the yardbirds.com.
yes, the yardbirds.com as well. Yeah.
Okay. And there you are.
There I am as a young lad.
This one has so much more wisdom though, right? This one right here, right now.
Yeah, learned a bit. I've learned a bit since that time.
Yeah, I would think.
I hope.
So, i- real quick, just last question. What would you recommend to people who are missing a loved one and how to start connecting with?
Uh, well, well, first of all, you have to deal with the grief, and that's important. I think you need to grieve. You've got to let it out. It's important to give yourself that you know that thing of letting yourself grieve, and but then you can go, you can study, like I did, um, near death experiences, and find out some of the great stories from. There's a lot in this book. She Walks in
There
Beauty.
is.
Yeah, it's a lot of people you can look up, and mediums and things. Yeah, and you just have to realize that they are actually still around. They haven't gone anywhere, but they've just gone into another dimension. That's all.
Right. And then practice.
Yeah, and practice. Yes, yes. And do the what I did. I had to go do the steps. There's various steps. Suzanne teaches you various thing, breathing and all this stuff. And there's a thing called the bless me method, because she likes to do, spell out things. So B is breathing, and L is lift your spirits. But it's like, what are they called? Those things, not anagrams, but when the letters make up some other word. She likes all those sort of things.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So find the right teacher, practice the steps, open to however the messages come through, because it comes through in different ways.
Yes, yes, and usually there's quite common signs, like you'll find feathers, or there's birds. There's I still get them a lot. Birds and butterflies. Butterflies is a good one, and birds, coming pecking on the window, or coins. There's all sorts of funny signs, but it's interesting what happens. So it's like incredible, like a different life altogether.
Oh, it definitely is. When my brother passed, we got his dog. And I would hear her playing, and she wasn't one to play by herself. I would hear her playing downstairs and running back and forth, and I know that he was playing with her. I
Yeah,
know he was. Like, it wasn't even a question for me.
yeah.
So it could be something like that too.
Oh, yeah. It's all sorts of funny things. And I'm reading a thing now, a book. It's about an old Greek method. They used to have these things that it was called I think it was called a psychomantium, and it was a mirror, set up in a room, usually underground. They set up the mirror, and they'd have candles, and they could see their departed loved ones in the mirror. It was a whole thing, and actually the book is by Raymond Moody.
I think I saw a documentary about that, and the rest of it was kind of like, um, it was a self-contained place where you didn't hear or see anything else
Yeah,
but this mirror.
yeah. Well, Raymond Moody, who did Life After Life, he did the first books on the subject in the 70s, and
Yes.
he apparently he studied the psychomantium, and he built one in his house somewhere wherever he is. Um, Fairly relatively recently, and he invited people to come and like people that were lawyers and accountants that weren't sort of people.
Skeptical.
Yeah, up a story, and he got a really quite a high percentage of success with these people. Seeing
Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating story with that. Yeah, whatever works, whatever method, every method doesn't work for everybody. So
yeah,
don't get frustrated, right?
well, yeah. I mean, I get the feeling that Lizzie, my wife, wouldn't do that, but you never know. You know, I get a shock. I've never really seen her. I've never seen her since she passed. She hasn't appeared or anything, but I think it's because she wouldn't want me to be shocked or, or frightened or anything.
Right. So do you just hear it? Does it come in like it's
Yeah,
her?
no, it's a mental, it's a thought. It's a mental thought.
Okay. Yeah.
I got one just the other day, and I was watching a Wimbledon tennis game, but I went down into the other room and I was tuning into her, and I was thinking, oh, I wonder what the score is, and I got the score come into my head, and it was right. Really funny,
Wow. Yeah.
and it's usually funny things like they switch the lights off and things like that. Funny little, comical.
But that was her nature in life too. So how it
she,
comes through is going to be like they
yeah,
were with you before.
yeah, she liked to be sort of comical and turn on things and turn off things.
Hey, you need the score? Here it is.
Yeah, it's the score.
I love it. Jim, thank you so much for being on. I
It
love
was a
talking to you.
pleasure. It's always lovely to talk to you because you really understand it all.
And I really hope you guys, you know, dive in here because there's a lot of information that's so enlightening and you
Yes,
know, it's useful in everyday activity too. Like it increases your understanding.
yes,
So,
I've good feedback for the book She Walks in Beauty hasn't really sold huge amounts like the other one did. The other one's done well, but this one I think people didn't quite understand. But I've had some very nice feedback from that one.
this is a lovely book. And it really shows your mystical, your spiritual side as whereas this is more historical,
Yeah,
um, you learning about
yeah,
your new path and getting onto the path and
yeah.
this is a really important book also, but then you go so much deeper.
Yes, I had to do it. But I've
Yeah, and then I think this one probably sold more because you were touring more when this
well,
came out, right?
talking about the group, and it's about a lot of Yardbird stories. And
Right.
but the thing is, I wrote it with this guy Dave Thompson, who's a very good. He's a great rock writer. He's a really good writer. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, it flows really well. Um, it's very clear and it clarifies a lot of stuff, and especially for Yardbirds aficionados
yeah,
who love the history of the band. I mean, you guys are so iconic, and um, like the lineup now is amazing. So
yeah.
if you haven't seen the current lineup, these guys are like amazing musicians and are so dedicated to the original sense and feel of the
Yeah,
Yardbirds.
yeah. I think so. I think, and that they all work very well together.
Yes, it's such a nice group of guys.
Yeah, and they're very dedicated.
Yeah. Okay, my dear, I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being on.
Okay, my pleasure.